Well, it's Saturday.
I coached this morning.
I didn't.
That was just because we're reading the book Friday. I thought that would be kind of funny.
Oh, funny.
I guess it is funny.
Felt all right. We're about to celebrate the new year.
We are. We're bringing the new year right. One last pod ready to go. So, without further ado, we should round out the year of the guest with a big bang.
Yeah?
And also Bethany's here.
A big B.
Ooh, a big B. I like that.
Can you do like our normal theme song and then like add some like firework noises or something like that at the end?
Yeah, maybe like someone doing like big finger gun noises.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you give me some of that to work with?
Pew 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 pew.
All right.
Can you hear the fingers?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Was it a pew or is it more like a pew 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 pew?
I guess he's got multiple things to work with now, so
I'll combine the two, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, thanks. I appreciate the work that you've given me before New Year's.
Yeah, I got your back, man.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Welcome, everyone, one last time to the Comicsology Club. It's a podcast where I, Snoop Lynch, and my co-host, Higgins.
Hey, that's me.
That's him right there, and I'm right here. And with us, rounding out the special year we've had, the year of the guest, we have one Bethany Tilson.
Hey, that's me.
Hey,
Affectionately known as B.
Yeah.
by some, but not all.
Yeah.
By me, not you. I call her that. That's what we're doing. That
Yeah.
this is my thing on this podcast.
All right.
What up, B? I don't like
What
it.
up?
I don't like it. No, but thank
Ooh,
you.
future BS.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Congrats
Thank you.
to Charlie.
Yeah.
Finally-
Podcast news.
Who
She
finally found her mom.
Yeah. She's gonna have a mom.
It's been a long time coming, and I'm happy for you, wherever you're at. Where'd the dog go?
She's there.
Gee, where you're.
There she is. Oh,
Hey,
lovely.
Jordy.
But yes, the three of us, all of us together here to round out the year and talk about a book and a drink. But before that, we cannot be remiss to talk about the sponsor of this show, 008 Studios.
Our friend, our buddy.
Our pal.
Michael.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, him too. Just thinking about Aaron as I always
Oh,
do.
right. Sorry.
I saw her yesterday.
Sorry. I'm sorry, Aaron. I'm sorry.
But no,
Don't slap me next time, okay? I love you.
But yes, 008 Studios is the business that has sponsored this podcast for many a year at this point. We are eternally grateful for that. Higgins, what does that business do?
They help people make stuff like books and comics and video games. And I don't maybe movies in the future.
Oh, that's
or
the
at
dream,
least,
right? Yeah.
Or at least some nice YouTube shorts.
Oh, he'd be really good at a YouTube short. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've made some YouTube shorts for him in the past. You can go
Yeah.
check this out on his channel. Check out episodes of this show. Check out what he's doing. And also, if you want to work with Michael, because as Higgins said, he's the guy that you go to get things made. Book, video game, more book, other things. Maybe movie one day. YouTube shorts. But you go to Michael, you talk to him. If you want to know what it's like to work with Michael, we actually did an episode with ZB Steele, friend of Bethany's actually, who wrote a book with Michael, and he talks about that whole process during the episode. We really grilled him, just got down to the nitty gritty, which was nice because, in all honesty, I've been talking about this business for a while, and I had an idea of what it is like. But it was nice to hear from someone who actually worked with Michael and had a pleasant experience.
It sounds like they're getting
A
a
pleasant
steal.
experience. Is that saying that your experience isn't?
No, my experiences with Michael are always pleasant and pleasurable
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
to any and all
I was
involved.
just making sure.
But, you know, it's one of those things that, like, it was nice to talk to someone who went through the process of working on a thing, which
Yeah.
we do this thing, but it's nowhere near as complicated as making a book. So, and
Yeah, something that can like eventually make money because everybody knows there's no actual money in podcasts.
no, Joe Rogan took it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're happy for him, genuinely. But anyway, yeah, if you want to work with Michael, he's doing stuff. He's churning stuff out. Books out the wazoo. He did a bit of moving over the last part of this year, but he should be getting things up and running and back to normal within the next month or so.
Yeah, I hear they even have a bed now. So that's
Ooh.
good.
Man, he's really moved on up in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that means Aaron won't
He's
leave
got
him.
a
Yeah.
bed
Oh wait,
on the
that was a
floor.
secret conversation. Sorry, Aaron. No, your marriage is fine, Michael. You're just fine as long as you keep making those books. And then I'll just wait for him to laugh at this for a second. And that laugh he does, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's like he's here.
it's a
He's
good
right
one.
Here.
It's a good one. We're all hearing it in our heads.
Exactly. But no, Michael's a really great guy. He, like I said, he's taking care of us doing this podcast. We really appreciate it, and I know you will appreciate working with him if that's the thing that you're interested in doing. So I will leave a link to his website where you can reach out to him, see the work he's done, read the work he's done, get some sweet merch if that's what you want to do, and yeah, just go down the rabbit hole from there. But for now, the rest of this podcast, let's talk about a little book called Friday on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm bringing that joke back you did earlier.
That was a good one.
It was
I
good.
felt pretty proud of that.
You should be. That's why I brought it back up. It's just so good. Joke's so nice, I brought it up twice. But yeah, Higgins, get people up to speed about Friday. Just a quick little synopsis,
All
if you
right,
will.
so we did it. We did the first one already, and we're gonna bring you volumes 2 and 3, which actually wrap up the story. It's a nice little story by Ed Brubaker and his buddy. Oh man, I can't remember. It's something with an M.
Marcos Martin. With he does art and colors
and then
by
Muntsa
some.
Vicente.
Yes, thank you.
Vicente.
Yes, and
It's kind of not a kid's, but like a young adult mystery comic with
Yeah.
a little bit of a fantasy flair to the mystery, like like a fantasy Hardy Boys maybe.
yeah, it's got weird magic shit in it. Yeah,
Yeah, and like I don't think I went back and read the first one because I was like, do I remember that book at all? And I was like, not really. So
it's been a minute. Yeah,
So I went back and read it, and I was like, I guess they like kind of mentioned the weird stuff, but in that book mainly, like, she talks about them solving mysteries when they were a kid, how the main character Friday or something, some Friday Fitzhugh,
yes,
and then Lancelot Jones, the two mystery solvers, how they met, how they started solving crimes, and how he eventually died at the end of that one.
yes, yeah.
Or so we thought.
I know, big twists and turns, and so we are going to cover the last 6 issues, which completes this story. This was brought out. This is one of those weird ones that we covered, publishing wise, and just the concept of it, where this was made by Panel Syndicate. It's a publisher that I think, if I remember correctly, Marcos Martin started. Where you go into the website. It's all digital. You go into the website. You can give as much money as you want to. So $0, $5, many dollar. It's up to you to get an issue that you download and read.
Yeah.
It's just creator-owned stuff, very like pushed for that, and then they eventually got physical editions published through Image, which adds up with Image's MO of creator-owned things and doing good ideas and just cool stories. Higgins and I covered the first 3 issues, the first part. Bethany mentioned a long time ago she wanted to do the next part with us, and so we figured, well, let's just round it all out. But you, Bethany, you read all of this. Like, this is the first time you read the story beginning to end, right?
No, so when you guys were recording the first podcast covering the first book, basically, I had read it before that podcast came out, and so it was really interesting to hear your guys' thoughts on that. And then I was like, well, I think the next time we do Friday, I need to be on it.
Yeah, and you demanded we do it on a Saturday.
Well, no, I actually said, hey, let's do Friday on a Friday with like a Friday themed drink.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but then we had friends that wanted to hang out with us, so
and that
we
was
obliged.
Honestly, friends are very, very important.
Yeah, especially.
And I'm only saying that because Aaron was there.
I was about to say, when one of those friends is the boss of your studio
exactly.
podcast, you gotta go. So we pushed it to a Saturday, and I think that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you found this to be interesting. You're like, let's talk more about it. So what is it about this that grabs you? Because we've done a good bit of books, but this one in particular just got your attention. What's up?
I like how it kind of does like a flashback, kind of like a warped timeline of throughout the entire story. So like we start out with Friday is going from high school to college, and she's kind of like reminiscing on giving us the backstory of how her and Lancelot like met and everything. And then like it goes through some of like their adventures and stuff, and then it kind of goes forward. And then like when the book 2 and 3 come in, then it goes back in time, and then forward in time, and then back in time. It kind of gets a little crazy, and I love that.
Oh yeah, we jump in on a very depressed Friday. She doesn't leave her room for a while,
Yeah.
and then she's like, "All right, bootstraps time. I'm gonna find out who murdered my best friend that I was on a little bit of bad terms with."
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the very end of the first book, it was like they kind of had a moment, and that's what I'm going to call it. They had a moment, a romantic moment together.
Yeah, I think they like,
and
tried to bang it out.
yeah,
and it didn't work.
And I think in the book it was like that was the awkwardest like 30 seconds of my life or something.
I think they said 5 minutes to give everybody credit, but
Yeah.
I don't want to do Lancelot like that, but they just weren't a match
Yeah.
sexually.
Yeah, and so like
just mentally and emotionally.
yeah. And so like it left me on a massive cliffhanger on Friday book 1 because I was just kind of like, well, where do we go now? Because I wasn't actually convinced that he was dead at the end.
Yeah, it seems
When she
kind
pulled
of
him
odd.
out of the fire, I was like, this doesn't seem right. Because, in movies and in books and stuff, you don't actually believe they're dead until, they are dead on screen and in the grave and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes not even then.
Well, good example in this book because he is dead, but
Not really.
not really dead. Yeah, as it
Not
goes.
really.
I think the best thing that this does, it does a lot of things really well for me. The pacing of this, I think, is just stellar. It's only 9 issues. I've seen people struggle to tell a full story, with a satisfying conclusion in 20 to 30 issues. And they do it in 9. And I think the way that they're able to accomplish that is how it's structured and how it's broken up into because at the end of each issue, there's like a little letters segment from one of the creators, and they talk multiple times about how they've broken this up into acts: Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, that make up the full 9 issues. So Act 1 is kind of the establishing of the town, the flashbacks, as Bethany said, about the starting of this kid detective team, Hardy Boys-esque, and also the rift that led into it. And by the end of that, we lose the leader of the group, Lancelot. Then Act 2 is kind of this Friday really coming into her own, and one, grieving the loss of the friendship that she had, but also to honor that friendship, picking herself up by her bootstraps, as Higgins said, and just, I'm going to figure this out. One last case, let's do it. And then they also sprinkled in some stuff I really like where, because he is the smartest person, he's laid clues and ideas and whatever to help her out. So it's almost like he's still with her and they're doing this together. And then you come all the way back around to Act 3 where you get to the conclusion of what actually happened to Lancelot. Why is this happening? What's the big case about? Like, what is the overall mystery, and how are these kids going to solve it? And then it goes into the future. It is such a good handling of that even though it's only on issues and they're not even bigger page issues like Higgins and I have covered in the past, like just standard 20 pages or whatever.
No, they're like 40.
Some of them are, yeah.
Yeah,
the last one's really long.
They put as many pages as they need to tell the issue, basically.
Yeah, and no more and no less, honestly. It's
Yeah.
just, it's interesting to see them talk about this in those letter pages. I think you get a lot of context into the challenges they ran into, because this started
5 years ago or something like that.
It started like pre-pandemic, and then obviously that happened, which caused complications throughout everyone's lives and just the production schedule of this. But they were able to get to the end of it, and I think it finished last year in 2023. And yeah, just again to have such a clearly laid out idea, you can see why it works so well, because it's like, well, you knew you were going to do this, this, and this. Maybe some things changed in between, like maybe the setting, instead of it taking place in the old clubhouse, took here, like that stuff changed. But your core ideas, which lead into the bigger reveals in these last 2 parts, it flows effortlessly to me. So yeah,
you get we already kind of mentioned it, like the time travel-y stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like hinted at. We get a bunch of that in the what? I can't exactly remember where it came up. Second half, third part. I can't remember exactly. She gets a fancy watch. She goes back to like 8 hours before Lancelot dies, in air quotes.
Mm-hmm.
And like you just go back and you see all like these clues that she was getting like in the before she goes back in time, and you're like, oh, that's how she got that, that's how she got that. And then you find out that Lancelot might not even been that smart in the first place. You're just like, she tells him to do all the things that he leaves for her.
Yeah, it's
inevitably
a great combination of characters, because it's like by the first 3 issues, like starting that out, we're reading about the post Fallout. So like we don't really get to see them work together. We see them in flashback and how they meet, and we see that there's a natural kind of chemistry there and just a natural friendship. But to actually see them get to work together, it's great, because you see, Friday at first looks is like, oh, she's the muscle, she's kind of the wild card, but she's more than that, because she just completes the parts of Lancelot that he needs to actually get stuff done.
She's willing to break a rule.
Well, she's willing to take action and look past the facts and just get shit done. Again, like, it was interesting to see Lancelot come back the way he did and see a more vulnerable side of him. I really like that, but it just, to me, really speaks to, oh, this is Friday's book, because even though Lancelot has all the answers, and even if he doesn't, he can figure them out, he's not getting anywhere without this girl. And that was just a really interesting dynamic to see, and it's what we talked about in our last episode, where this plays off an idea that we're all familiar with, the Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew. It's just like that, but grown up. So you have that base understanding. You don't really need to do any of those tropes or establish that, because you just assume that's what they were already doing. You get to see it evolve. I really, really enjoy that. It's to me, that's a writer who's living in a genre that, again, we're familiar with, but also making it their own and making it evolve with the people that read it as kids. So I don't know. It really works for me in that way, and even down to like the art and the color palette. This is probably one of the weirdest and most beautiful comics we've read. Just from a color standpoint alone, who'd you say, was it Muntsa something? Was the colorist, right? Vicente or Vicente?
Mm-hmm. Vicente, yeah.
He's got a small, he gets a small letters bit every now and again, and he talks about when he was working with Marcus Martin, the artist, of how they wanted to approach this. And again, this is set in the 70s, that peak crime thriller, kids mystery era. And it's like, well, how do we honor that? How do we live in that? And so even down to the color palette, they only use, it's like YMCK, which is like yellow, cyan, magenta, key blacks. It's basically a technique of subtractive color. So you use those colors that you have to make the colors you need, get rid of the colors you don't, and that's why you have like each panel of this, each double page spread, the cover, it looks like those Hardy Boy books to me.
Yeah,
and it's striking in that way.
Well, I thought what was interesting was that like it's very kind of almost a little bit muted in color in some parts, and then like when it's like a important part or something changes when there's a blast of color. Like whenever she goes back in time, like there's barely any like dead space in the coloring, and then like when all of the fae and all that kind of stuff kind of comes up, there's a bunch of color.
Yeah.
And then like it goes back into kind of like the muted palette when everything is kind of a little bit more chill, I would say.
It's used to set the mood of whatever scene they're in.
Yeah.
Like and because there's no use of gradient in this either. It's just this color, or this person is this color, this light is this color, and only this color. And so when you see like a flashlight show up in the forest, it's visually it's all you can kind of pay attention to. And then when you start to look around it, the forest just looks that much creepier because it's that much off-putting compared to the brightness of the flashlight. And then you have when the supernatural elements come in, that's when it gets really crazy, because then you just start seeing colors that you haven't seen this whole book.
Pinks and yellows and purples.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Man, yeah, that first Faye lady, the cop lady, she's like
creepy.
taking her mom and aunt or other mom. I don't know. It's kind of like hinted at that maybe she has two moms and just calls one of them Aunt Joy.
There could be a bit of that, yeah.
Yeah.
But
It was
that
the
creepy,
70s, I guess. It's like you do that sort
That's
of
my
thing.
Aunt Joy. She lives with us, and like my mom seems to really like her. But
Hey, they were sleeping in the same bed. This is,
But what, that lady comes back, and you're like, oh, she's just like. At that point, you know about the Arcadian, and they're doing some like magic-y stuff, but you don't know that we're dealing with like Fae people per se just yet.
Yes.
And then like she hits that lady in the head with an axe, and you're like, she just murdered somebody. And then that lady turns into some disgusting thing.
Okay.
That little panel where she's like legs bent and crooked, axe in hand, like elbow, all weird looking.
All I could think about was like the commercials for like the movies of like The Smile, because just as like how creepy The Smile is on this lady, it just gives me the same unsettling feeling as watching those commercials and those trailers.
Yes, and I do really appreciate how they play with that, play with your head as the reader of, until the moment that she gets back up, you do kind of think maybe the supernatural side of this is just kids being kids, like she's still kind of trapped in that heyday of when they solved the local mystery. But then when it is finally revealed, like, oh no, there's magic and demons and stuff, it's totally fine, because then everything else in hindsight just makes that much more sense. And even to the point of like why this town functions the way it does. I'm specifically talking about why that sheriff is just like, yeah, I'll let these kids help me solve murders and whatever. It's like, well, no, like this is actually weird stuff that was happening, and it was actually happening. And so, yeah, like they did need these kids because, he's a genius for reasons we find out. And it just, that's what I'm saying, is like it's planned out so well that any kind of loose ends you think you might see, or just like plot holes, or why would they go along with this, or why would this person do this, you can piece it all together. The time travel thing was like one of those other big reveals of, we knew in the first 3 issues there was someone running in the shadows following the kids around, and then it's revealed like, oh, it's them when she got sent back to the past. She is the girl that she saw in the woods that night, and it's all there. And so, yeah, when you bring in the supernatural stuff, you're taken aback, because you should be, because it is like, oh my god, like the same as those kids feel when they see it for the first time. You're like, that is weird, but it doesn't take you out of the story. It just thrusts it into this whole new narrative that I was like, well done.
Everything does connect together. Like you said, she sees herself. That's why she has a doppelganger, like in the past, because she got sent to the past. And then then you find out that he's got a doppelganger, but for different reasons, because he's like, he got stolen as a baby and then was like a changeling person. Turns out his mom's like a creepy fairy Hardy Boy girl too, and so she saved him from that.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the mom stuff to kind of come into play the way it did, and it be as like heartfelt as it ended up being, because really at this point all we knew was that the mom died when he was really young, and that she was in an insane asylum. And it's that reveal of those two connections of, well, the reason he loves to solve mysteries and got really into it without him even knowing is just because, well, that's what she did. Like, she was just she was the kid who was the local investigator and checked out the lore of the town. And then that led into her discovering the ancient curse of this entire village, which is, when it was established, there were these creatures, these fairy creatures just who lived there.
Fairy kings and the fairy king and queen.
Yes, and the king was killed by one of the early settlers, and as a result of that, the queen cursed the village and would, over time, take children from their homes and replace them with her own, kind of identical, indoctrinated minions, basically.
Basically, just planting an army for the future.
Yeah, just sowing the seeds to eventually get her revenge for killing her husband and separating the two of them. And so I love a lot of that. I love the kind of the heartbreaking tale of the villain, you know, because at that point it was the white lady. We knew about that. Friday had seen her. We saw what she looks like, and she's terrifying. She's hideous. But it's like, oh, like you didn't ask for this, and this is kind of you lashing out. So I understand this. But then it leads into the stuff with the mom, where when she found that out, and she found out her son was was taken, she did everything she could to break that spell, which then led to the undoing of all this, the breaking of the curse.
Yeah, she did the spell that like broke his fairy brain to make it
more human.
Yeah, more human, and in doing that, the spell also broke her human brain.
Yeah, it shattered her mind, and
so, but she didn't have another brain to go back on.
Yeah, and then so there's this connection between the mom and Lancelot that, again, it adds more to that character than I ever thought they were going to do with him. I was kind of 50-50 at first if he was going to stay dead or not. And when they did bring him back, I was like, I don't know if I like this. But throwing in those little pieces of character development and giving that guy something to kind of grow from, I think really was a nice touch. And it also just explains why he is the way he is. Not just the fact that he comes back a weird changeling kid, but it's like, oh, that's why this kid's a genius. That's why he knows so much, is because
It's got fairy brain.
Yeah. So that was just, again, it was a fun little thing to kind of play with, and it totally works for me.
Then he gets pointy ears.
And
yellow eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they never try to have sex again, which is perfect.
Well, they may or may not. I kind of like the ambiguity of the ending as well. I think that's one of the stronger pieces of the final issue is...
I mean, it says that she takes lovers.
Yeah.
And has relationships, I think.
Well, so the way that I kind of saw it was she's playing that out in her mind, and then like Bethany said, she's like, and I go on to college, we go together, I take lovers, but it doesn't ruin our relationship.
Yeah.
But then I stop because now I'm just going to live in this moment.
Yeah, it's like, so now I'm just going to hang out with my buddy.
Yeah, and it might be what she ends up doing exactly, but also we don't know. They could come out of this, go to college together, and end up kind of rekindling a romantic relationship, but also they could just not. I like that it could go either way. I don't really have a preference on one or the other, but I like that message too of just, I think that with their rift in particular and why it's different by the end of this book, not just because of the case that they solved, the one last case, but I think that he was not ready to move on from this town and this life that they had established together, and she was. It was just something naturally that she's growing up, she's finding more out about herself, and she wanted him to go with her, but it just didn't work out. Now they're getting a second chance at that, but also she's not worried about getting to the future. He's not worried about staying in the past. They're just thinking of the moment and enjoying the fact that they get to be together in it. And I think, again, to see those characters interact in the first 3 issues that we covered and then have them come back kind of towards really the end for that one last case, I don't think that should work as well as it does, but I think that what they do with the time they're given, the writers and the artists, I think what they do with those interactions gets me to that point where I really like that ending and that just leaving it on that note.
Yeah, you can feel good about it. And you can even like, they even give you a reason to believe that he was able to do all that stuff while she was in the past, because you're like, it did like time travel stuff that I haven't seen in like a thing. It's like the time that you spent in the past still passed in the future. So she came back 8 hours.
She was gone for an actual 8 hours. Yeah, that was nice, and it does kind of. I think with the time travel side of this, it is the most just hand wavy thing that they do in this book. But I think by having elements like that in there, you're able to just kind of go, okay, like even to the point where how they create time travel, because when she finally sees him again and discovers that he's the fairy, whatever, and then they talk about what's going to need to happen, she's like, you need to leave me these clues so that I do this, so that we do this. And he's like, well, how do we do that? And she's like, I don't know, figure it out.
It's like, I don't know, but I have a time travel watch, so obviously You
You
did
made it. Yeah.
And then he just does it, and I think in a worse story, you would really focus on that of just like,
Yeah.
that's bullshit. But because everything else in this is just so well put together, I'm more than happy to go, yeah, he figured it out.
Well,
Whatever.
everything's weird anyways. They did the same thing with like his death in the town. I was like, how are they gonna bring this? It's like he's back to life, obviously. How are they gonna bring this kid back to life in the town? And then they're like, you know what? Stuff's always been weird here, so we kind of just said like, yeah, he's not dead now. I know you guys saw him dead, but he's not dead now.
They have a
And
newspaper.
they were just fine with it.
Well, yeah, they had like a newspaper article, and it's just like, he faked his death for a case, and everyone
Yeah.
just went, yeah, all right. And yeah, it is very much that. I agree of that thing of just like, it is so weird, and stuff has happened before that it plays into kind of the more exaggerated side of things that you would normally go, wait a minute, like this really doesn't make any sense. It's that classic, that hanging the lantern, like that trope of, well, everyone else in the story knows that this is just kind of ridiculous, but they're okay with it, so maybe you should be too. And
Yeah.
I think it is a testament to the writing that they do really well, that they're able to get away with that stuff that normally everyone would just focus only on that and how it doesn't work. But you don't care about it because you're just like, well, no, we're doing this, and that's more important.
They figured out how to stop that fairy lady, but in a nice way.
Yeah, for sure. Because, like, I mean, you can't really beat fairies.
She just wanted to see her husband again.
Yeah. But can we talk about how crazy it would be to see yourself living something that you have already lived? And then also, like, there's a scene in here in the third one that Lance actually fights himself.
Oh yeah, there
And,
is
like-
a bit of that. Yeah.
Like, how creepy and, like, an out-of-body experience would that be?
Well, that was like,
yeah,
You know, it's like your mirror coming out in real life.
and trying to kill you.
Yeah.
I
It's like
wasn't
literally
sure.
my nightmare.
I was kind of expecting we knew pretty early on that like Friday is the girl that she sees in the previous stuff, and that she's probably the one that
Well,
knocks her out.
at the end of the second book, basically.
Yeah. I was kind of wondering if they were going to have the two Fridays like interact a little more,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't really make sense because it
No.
would kind of ruin the first what she saw from her perspective in the past.
Yeah.
So yeah, to have the Lancelot thing though, and what I also really like about, because this is at its heart it's just a young adult mystery novel,
Yeah.
so you're wanting to kind of put the pieces in place before you even get to the reveal. I think they do a really good job of sprinkling in enough clues where by the time you figured out what's about to happen, she's also telling you that she's figuring out what's about to happen. Because that moment in particular where the two Lances fight each other, I think I pegged it about halfway through her monologue when she's walking up there, and then basically right after you turn the page and she's like, wait a minute, there's only one other person this could be. So it's like she's figuring it out right when you're figuring it out, and then there's just the
Yeah.
satisfying reveal of, oh, I was right, and it is this, and so
Yeah.
what's going to happen now? And yeah, you get to see like,
And then she's like, oh, fuck, I have to knock myself out. Like,
yeah, it's that like, I like the best thing I think with the time travel element of this is the kind of the ticking clock element of it, of like she gets knocked out for a bit, she's like, oh shit, it's already been 30 minutes, I've only
Yeah.
got 7 hours, down to the point where when they finally meet up again,
4 minutes.
she's got 4 minutes, which I think is just it's great, because what's the most important thing to do is catch everyone up to speed, but at the same time she's so angry because he was alive this entire time. She mourned him for days, weeks, whatever.
A week, yeah.
And that's really what she wants to talk about, but she knows that she can't. Those are the interactions I really enjoy. That's what makes me like those two working together, just talking with each other, being together. And I like that with Lancelot, all we had really seen in that first part was just he's very cold, he's very calculating. But in this we get to see that vulnerable side of him and who he needs in his life and who he wants to be around, and she's probably outside of like his dad or whatever, like she's the most important person in his life. And even he's upset to the point where he's like, don't look at me, don't see me like this, like
Yeah.
he's worried of what she's going to think of him. And up until this point, what we had seen of that character, he didn't seem like someone who would give a shit about any of that, but it's
No.
because it's her.
Yeah.
And then I'm not 100% sure who his like second one was. I know the one that he is the changeling one that got fixed, but I was like, does that mean the one that came to fight him was the human one that grew up with the fairy people? Is that what we're getting?
That's what I'm assuming.
Yes, because
So it's like,
Because-
it's weird that the fairy and the human basically switched positions in that situation.
yeah, and I think that has to do with the reveal of the spell that the mom placed, because
Yeah.
the thing is she didn't bring back her original son. She basically just
Changed the
changed the changeling,
Yeah.
to the point where
He was semi-normal.
yeah, like he had like a human heart at that point, you know, whereas the version that is killed is the original, which is another creepy thing about this that they don't go into, but I really kind of was just like, that's terrifying. Of the monsters we see in this were originally the humans that were taken and then just warped with magic and demon trickery and whatever. So like that giant bird bat thing that tries to kill her was probably like the
person.
dad or the cop at, the original version. And so it's a terrifying thing in that way, where it's like those kids didn't ask for this and now they're horrifying monsters. And also the people that were supposed to be them are sleeper agents as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, they're creepy.
And it all works out, but it is just like that element of like, yeah, it's a happy ending, but it's not a happy ending for everybody if you start to think about like the dark undertones of what this really is and means. It's one of those things that like this is the only, as of right now, this is the only story we're going to get in this universe, but it is one of those stories that leaves me going, God, there's so much to see in
Yeah,
this.
it's one of those stories, and I think it's perfect because you could leave it as is, but then also you could expand it, which is just perfect, honestly. Because I think if you expand it for like another 9 issues or something, you're gonna have to go from a perspective of someone else, maybe,
I think so, yeah.
and just kind of leave the Friday and Lance kind of story by itself, and maybe tell it by the perspective of the white lady,
It's just
because that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like, man,
It's just the live action Scooby Doo movies. You're like,
Yeah.
they were solving cases, and it's like, yeah, you saw that on the TV show, and yeah, we could do it, but then the big case got brought to us in the actual book,
Yeah. And-
where there were real monsters.
Oh, yeah, there were, yeah.
And we didn't even talk about the 2 best characters, really.
Who are the 2 best characters?
Father, what's his face, and French Fry the Devil Dog.
God, I love French Fry.
Yeah.
What a good dog name.
I was thinking
right?
that too, yeah. I don't remember that even being a thing in the previous issues. I know it happened, I just don't
I know
remember it.
I know he like lost his dog, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
like they don't bring anything
Yeah.
else up about that.
But yeah, French Fry, just
French Fry.
A+ dog name for sure. And yeah,
Yeah.
just the casual reveal at some point that the father's been around for many years doing, like,
And
he's part of
he's
the
not
secret,
even, like,
whatever.
He's
Religious.
an occult guy.
Yeah. And the dog is a demon, which
Yeah.
they show you, but they
There's
don't really
red-
go into it at the time.
No.
You see him as like a normal
honestly-
dog, and then you see like red fire eyes when he's like biting that green tree dinosaur.
Yes.
I didn't even actually put that together until you guys just said it.
Well,
Yeah.
I just assumed it was because he like got into a fight with the weird monster and he got like some weird evil magic
Some, like,
DNA.
yeah, magic blood or something. in
Yeah,
him.
but it turns out no, he's just already a demon dog, and it's brought up at the end, and everyone's okay with it, and then we just kind of move on. Oh, speaking of the end and final battles, it's not a typical third act fight that you would think.
Yeah.
But one thing I really enjoy about this, talking about like throwbacks and living in the genre, is they do that classic 70s to 80s thing where a character that has a particular skill gets to use it in the fight. And in this case, it's Friday has to nail a hockey puck
Oh yeah.
to knock a dagger out of a demon's hand.
Yeah, that
You see
that
in the
was
very
a really
first
really
issue-
great callback.
Yeah,
Yeah. See in the first issue hitting the tree and the target like popping that dude in the face with one.
exactly.
Hell yeah.
Yes, and it's only used in that one bit, and it changes the entire tide of the battle. And then it's just a big talk at the end, which I I thought was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you really think you can beat me? And we're like, we know we can't beat you, but here's your husband's remains.
Yes. Yeah.
Can we be peaceful now?
Can we be friends? And it turns out, yes, that's all she really wanted.
And she's like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long. Just talking to a skull.
Yeah. I feel really bad for that guy. He was just taking a bath and he just got his head blown off.
Yeah, poor guy.
It's just one
He
of those
was just
things.
skinny dipping in a river.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things. It's like, yeah, the guy that like probably found the scary tree monster dude like bathing in the river was probably pretty scared too, though.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Classic misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm just going to put it out there. If I'm like hunting, if I ever go hunting, because
If you do a big hunt,
yeah, and I see something scary like that, I'm just going to literally hold my breath and hide.
I don't know though, because
I'm not gonna stir up a fight, because there's no way that like one bullet can take down someone like
killing that guy, not exactly the best thing, but like, you know, the sexy fairy books we've been reading, she killed that one fairy dude, and then she
Yeah,
got
but
to
that
have
was-
sex with a bunch of other fairy dudes.
But that was out of
so you-
survival.
you thought that's what
That's
that guy
the
thought he was going to
difference.
get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
probably
like-
so.
So like the difference is that this, you said it was kind of placed in like the 70s or something.
Hmm. Yeah.
Well, like in the sexy fairy books, her family was going to starve if she did not kill the fairy, which she
Yeah.
didn't even know was a fairy, right? And so like it is sort of kind of like out of survival rather than just like protection, because like if the thing's not attacking you, then like why would you kill it?
Well, realistically, what probably happened, I do think what Higgins said is true, where he was just as scared because he saw a big, towering, like 9-foot tall monster. But at the same time, I think after he was scared, he went, that would look really good on the mantle.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you that's where that thing went for a very long time after
yeah.
he
I mean,
killed it.
it was in a chest behind someone's house or something like that.
Oh yeah, they hid it after like all of their family members like died in
Killed themselves.
weird ways.
Yeah.
Or like the descendants of that person that killed him is like, I don't think that's something that we should display.
Yeah.
That's something that we don't actually know what it is. And then they were like, maybe we should just hide it. Because that's what
best.
you do.
Yeah, put it in a nice chest, It's what
Yeah.
he'd want if he was still here.
Exactly.
Yeah. It is neatly wrapped up as far as like that talk even works, because the only leverage they end up getting is that they get the dagger away from her for like a second. But
Yeah.
there are way more of them than there are of the kids and the sheriff and the whatever. And the only other thing they have is that skull, which she could also just easily take from them.
Well,
But
Lancelot did that one thing where he like did a spell and blew that guy up.
oh, it's true. He
That
did say he
Wadsworth
could.
dude.
Yeah.
He was like, I might not be able to get all of you, but I'm gonna get like a good chunk. Or we could like have a chat.
That's true. You're right. I do remember that now. And I also like how he's just like, you know what? I'm gonna kill this guy because he's
Yeah,
always
he-
been an asshole. So
Oh, yeah, that guy.
yeah,
Man, that guy sucks.
he did suck. I didn't.
Him and his family suck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love any
'cause-
time though that there's like a weird secret cult of rich people.
So I was trying to do this name connection in my head, but am I mistaken to believe that the guy that got blown up and his son was
He's the
the
weasel.
one that
Yeah.
kind of got crazy?
Yes.
But wasn't he also part of the bully crowd that was bullying Lance in the first issue?
That was
when
his
they
older
first
brother.
met?
The
Okay.
weasel guy was the one that had the dagger at the beginning. His older brother was the one that she smacked in the face with the hockey puck.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And the dad was the
because
dad.
I was like, I'm not good at names, and that's like one thing in my entire life that I
Well, it doesn't help that
Yeah.
they're like all double W's too.
Doing some
Yeah.
classic alliteration. Yeah.
yeah.
It yeah. I mean, pretty much anyone
And so
that
it
you see
is
in
kind of like full circle with like that family just being assholes.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, it is. It's nice to see like this town have so much life to it, because anything you see really in the past, any character, any interaction, it comes back in some way or another in the modern day stuff. Like there's that guy that his dad is the deputy the local police department. That was like her boyfriend or something. He shows up at one point and tries to make a move on her. It's just it feels
yeah.
everything from this. It feels as lived in as it should. Like, this is a town that's been around for a couple centuries, and looking at the architecture, just seeing the houses and the people, and it totally fits, and you do get that sense of like, this has been going on a long time, and we're just getting to the end of this very long drawn out curse, and seeing all the steps it took to get to that point. Like, it doesn't just start and end with these kids. It started with the demon being shot and the families that are connected to that who have been hoarding that skull. It comes back to the mom. Like, it's a world that was fully realized, and we just get to jump into this chapter of it.
Yeah, I love that aspect of it, but then you also get to know just enough of the history to make it all make sense.
Yeah, and I like that you don't know everything. I like that, like, seeing just little kind of, I think in the first, Higgins will have to refresh my memory, but there were moments when they talked about their mysteries as kids, the things they used to do, and I think they were basically presented like Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew covers.
They were like telling the story, and then it was like written over the top of like covers of basically Hardy Boy books.
Yeah,
like the Curse of the Bad Viking Helmet and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like how like it builds more into their past, the way the town works, how these kids kind of work in it, and who listens to them, who doesn't, and I like how even bringing that element into the modern day case. A big fun mystery part of the second act was when she gets the case notes, and she sees all these cases that Lance had been working on while she was at college, and then it's the connection like, oh, all these are linked. That's why he left these specific ones in here.
Yeah.
It just it pushes the main story forward while also building out little pieces of what's been going on in between, and it's very much that thing of, you could jump into any of these and I would love to read about it, but also I don't have to. It works really well in that way of, I'm genuinely interested in what this is, and I'd love to see more of it. But also, if I never get a single issue of this ever again, either a prequel or an in-betweenquel or a sequel or a spinoff, whatever, I leave completely satisfied and wanting to recommend this book to other people.
It is kind of like the perfect comic to start with if you're just kind of like just entering in all of like the pictures and the way the story reads and everything. It's a very good entryway for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so definitely, I mean, I would recommend this to anybody to read.
I think so. I think because everyone.
I mean, maybe not my niece and nephew, but like.
No, but you could start them on a Nancy
aged.
Drew, get them hooked into that, and then when they turn like teens age, just angsty teens, and they're just rebelling against mom. Be like, hey, read this book.
Plus, it's a little less intimidating versus like Watchmen, like we read last week.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more approachable. Yeah,
we read 9 issues, and I probably like an amount of like 3-ish hours.
Yeah,
tops, and then Watchmen
12 days.
Yeah, it took like days to finish.
Yes, yeah. And then there's a lot more kind of nuance to that book in some ways than something. This is a bit more straightforward. We haven't really talked about it a ton. We talked about the colors, but like, what does the art do for you guys in this? Like, to me, it's very much trying to emulate that style of those books of old, and I think it does a really great job of that. But like, what does it do for you? What do you get out of this? Like, what does it add for you? I don't know. Just talk into that.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like old, like newspaper comic book like art. Like the character face designs and stuff like that feels like an Archie or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like it's very flat. It's like very 2-dimensional. It's not very, like 3-dimensional looking.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, the characters have like this abstract kind of design to them. Like, almost like Friday's face is almost
a rectangle.
It's a rectangle, yeah.
I love how they didn't make her look sexy.
They almost did. Did you see that?
Yeah,
Yeah, at
in
the
the
end,
very end.
There was like a letters page in one issue where they showed the original design, and she has more of a like kind of like a
More
Jenna
feminine.
Ortega, Wednesday Addams kind of vibe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do like, the nerdy, sporty look of her a lot better than like I like a Betty or Veronica from Archie,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it brings more of like a intellectual person, and you think of her differently just because of the way she looks.
Absolutely. I don't think that like if they kind of glammed her up a bit, you could have played off this, kind of tomboyish muscle part of the detective group, and it work as well. It just seeing her interact with the adults of this town is just such a treat because she has so much agency and people listen to her. And I don't think it's like strictly because of the way she looks. It has to do with her personality and how she gets things done, but it helps for sure. And it also just kind of makes her stand out from everyone else in the town, which I think is an interesting element to bring in with a character who is now an outsider. She grew up in this town, but she got out of it. She's visiting for the weekend or whatever.
Well, yeah, like and when she first met Lance, like she had just moved to that town, and she thought it was just like, the normal like small town type thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And then like he's like, oh, that there's more to this. Like you should hang out, and like I'll hire you, and like I'll show you a good time, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there was one part of the book that where I think it's in between like her grief week, and she says something along the lines of, Lance always got us in trouble, but I was the one that get us out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I right?
No, you are. It definitely
and
plays
it was
into
just
that.
like the perfect thing to kind of sum up their relationship.
Yeah, and at that point you think he's gone, so there's like this desperation of there's work to be done, but he's not here. And it is heartbreaking to see, because there's also that element of, at that time they're not going to be able to make up. They're not going to be able to talk about the fight they had and the strain that they've had in their relationship. It's done. Obviously that turns around when he comes back, but it was nice to see, again, characters be vulnerable in those moments. Her especially, just because for 99% of this book, she's just a real hard ass, which I really enjoy. When he dies and it switches to her, even though I think it works really well that it comes back, I think that this character is just so compelling that it would have been just as good of a story to just see her figure it out, to kind of honor his memory. Plus, she's just doing a lot of hard smoking, which I really enjoyed.
It's the 70s again.
Yeah, like just every time you can think of, it's like, well, time to light up. My favorite, talking about the art, my favorite imagery in this, and there's a lot to love here, but there's like a double page spread where it's her kind of piecing together the clues that she's gotten. I think she had just gotten the watch, but she doesn't know time travels yet. She's just trying to figure out, what did Lance leave for her? And she's sitting on a log in the forest, smoking a cigarette, and you see the smoke, and inside the smoke you see like all the different outcomes and ideas, and it's fantastic. It's such a little moment in the context of a bigger magic story, because there's way crazier stuff than that happening on the page, but that moment in particular, I think, is just it sums up just, they're doing such a good job with this idea. To me, I don't know, Higgins, what sticks out to you? What did you love? Like, I don't know, just talk about it.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm still stuck on like the fairy design stuff. I'm a big horror boy, so I like that they made it a little less like young adulty, and even made it a little scary.
Yeah,
I like being scared, but I can do it in books, I can do it in comics, and I can do it in like movies and stuff. as soon as you put like a horror in a game, like a big old baby.
Yeah.
But
You've never
I
finished
like it. I
Resident
like
Evil.
it in all of the other ones.
Yeah. This is a lot creepier than I would have thought.
Oh, yeah.
I think kind of the scariest moment and the biggest action sequence I take away from this is the bit you mentioned earlier with the cop turning into the demon, and just the fact that it's exclusively inside the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's chasing her up the stairs, throwing shit at her, like just trying to figure out, one, what is this thing, what's happening, and also how do I kill it.
Oh yeah. As soon as I saw the hairspray on the ground, I was like, I know where this is going.
See, I didn't even catch that. Yeah.
I didn't
You
either.
kind of like, you kind of find out like I guess the fairies are made out of. Most of the fairy stuff is like they're basically
Forest.
tree people.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Yeah.
it seems like they're ints basically.
Yeah. They're forest. Yeah, like forest magic people.
Yeah.
So it's like what hurts
works good
trees?
against that?
Oh, fire. We
Yeah.
got plenty of that in the 70s.
Yeah.
I've got 30 cigarettes left and two
And
to smoke. So
somehow have a lighter right in their back pocket.
you always gotta have a lighter in your back pocket in the 70s.
I don't know.
You're smoking all the time.
I mean, obviously, yes, but like, had that happened, like, yesterday to me, I would be like, I don't even know where a lighter would be.
No, you get the hairspray and you reach into your back pocket and you're like, shit, it's just a vape. I've got nothing. We weren't built for this.
That would be so funny. And then you just like take a hit and then blow the smoke in their face.
And jump out the window. It's just a really, really good book. I'm glad it's only 9 issues. I don't know. I don't know a lot besides Ed Brubaker. I don't know a lot of this team, but now I'm genuinely interested in what they're doing. I'm sure that they have more stuff on Panel Syndicate since Marcos Martin is a big part of running that. But it's so many different things that shouldn't work for me as well as they do, but it just lands 100% of the way.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I don't have much more to say about it, but if you guys do, please, like,
Yeah.
step
I
in.
mean, it is kind of crazy how like the entire series and issues takes place in like 10 days. Because I
Yeah,
think they did
yeah.
like time that out. It was literally like 10 days. And like 1 week of that was her mourning and just like laying in bed.
Yeah, it's so intentional with the timing and everything of it.
And that's just kind of crazy to me. It's like, yeah, I mean, your life can change within the span of 10 days. I mean, that does kind of make sense.
very, very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when
I
you're
mean,
fighting
without all
demons.
the magic and stuff, I mean, you can apply that to real life.
No, I
little
can apply
bit.
the demons to my real life. Fight them off every day.
All right.
Yeah. I live in a bad neighborhood,
I mean, I normally take medicine to make my demons go away, but
but it doesn't always work, does it?
it doesn't.
You're gonna need those Tums after this episode. Don't forget about
yeah,
that.
for sure.
Speaking of which, well, maybe we review the book or give it a rating, and then we move on to the drink we'd be drinking. How about
Yeah.
That sounds fine to me.
that? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is gonna be like a pretty cool Eldritch ritual.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. Shirts
That's
off?
Huh?
Shirts off? While you're doing the
Shirts
ritual?
off and then like a little bit of blood.
Oh my God, and it's really cold
Hot.
outside, so I mean, you can tell he
Hot.
cares. Hot.
Yeah.
What?
What about you, Bessie? What are you up to? What are you thinking about?
I'm gonna say 5 out of 5 conversations with the white lady,
Oh, okay.
and that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, they had in the end they had a pretty good
I mean,
chat.
like,
So
honestly, if she has her husband back, I think she'd be pretty cool to hang out with.
she's chilled out a bit. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
I mean, like, grab a drink with her after work.
Just a couple white wines for
That'd
the
be-
white lady.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah,
Yeah,
hell yeah.
it's pretty good.
Excellent. Well, I'm feeling just about the same. So for that reason, I'm gonna give this 7 days a week.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Not 8 days a week.
Not 5?
I'm
'Cause
giving
you
it
end
all
on
7.
Friday?
All right.
No, I'm giving it all 7 days a week. I think it deserves it. I think they did a really good thing here, and I
That's
think
fair.
people should read it.
Yeah.
It's like a 5 days to Friday, and then plus 3 days.
I will say that about everything I've read by Ed Brubaker is he knows how to finish a book.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never like read a thing where it ever none of his stuff outstays its welcome.
I think it's just because of and it sounds so
It probably-
silly, but he knows what he wants to do, and he's got it mapped out before he even starts putting it on the page. Like he
It
has
probably,
the idea.
Yeah, it probably comes with the territory of a mystery book. It's like, you know how the mystery's going to end, I guess, but...
Yeah. Well, I think about Kill or Be Killed, which is another book that we both read, and it's basically the same kind of feeling you
idea.
get when finishing
Weird.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird, but like it totally makes sense by the ending. You're like, yeah, this was great.
This one wrapped up better than that one did, but in my personal opinion.
I would say overall, yeah, I think so, yeah. And who would have thought that an older gentleman could have written such a good female character?
Yeah.
Who knew?
Did pretty good.
I mean, there aren't very many males that can write a female character.
No.
Probably used a stiff drink, maybe like the one that we used
Oh my god.
for this podcast episode.
Yeah.
God damn it, I could have said thank God it's Friday for my rating.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
TGIF.
TGIF.
It's a Friday.
Sounds like that drink is doing good things for Bethany over there. Higgins, tell me about that drink.
Yeah, it's called a winter orange, I think. Let me make sure that's right.
An orangey winter cocktail.
Yeah. I just wanted to do champagne because the New Year's was coming up. And, you know, final ep and all.
That's right.
I figured
Winter orange
a champagne
cocktail.
just felt like something we needed to put in our drink.
Yeah, and we did it. We just talked about a Christmas book, so it's time to round it out with a New Year's drink.
It is a Christmas book.
And then a winter
Just the season.
yeah, winter orange champagne cocktail is what it's called. So nothing fancy name-wise, but it was pretty yummy. It's like 1 part brandy, 1 part triple sec, or orange liqueur of your choice. And then what was that?
Champagne.
Like 3-ish. I'm trying to think what I put in there.
God, if only there was a way to look this up.
Well, it's 2 parts. So 2 parts orange juice. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I just had to do the math in my head because I did it 3 times, so I had to divide all my numbers by 3 to figure it out.
Yeah,
Did you put sugar in it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
and then you top it off with champagne to your liking. They filled our glasses up about halfway, and then I topped off the rest of the glass with champagne because everybody knows a mimosa's better if it's mostly champagne.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Juice is not necessarily important. You
Yeah.
can have any
No.
kind of juice in there. But this one, we got extra orange in there. Do you
Yeah.
think the orange liqueur does anything extra for you?
I think it just mellows out the brandy
Okay.
more than anything.
That's true. I
Honestly,
didn't really think
I
about
could
the
use
brandy.
more brandy.
There's brandy
Oh.
in there, and I do think that's why it was as weird as it probably tasted, but I did buy like the cheapest brandy I could find because I know I'm never going to use that again.
You could have the same drink on New Year's, though.
Yeah, that's true.
You should, I think. And not just because I'll be there asking for it.
I'll tell you right now, the liquor gate that I go to for like most of my like alcohol needs
For all your local bevy needs.
$4 bottle of champagne.
Is that the one next to the local Waffle House?
Yeah,
When did you go?
and the local Ingles. Just when
On
I
your
get
way
back,
home.
like 3,
Yeah.
2:33.
Yeah.
I would have already left the local Waffle House. I was there, though, with our
Yeah.
friend Sean and our other friend Randy.
Nice,
He's
Aw.
doing well.
nice.
Good guys.
Yeah, good guys. I gave Randy
Good
a
guys.
fidget spinner.
Oh,
A fidget
A
spinner.
fidget spinner.
Your fidget
I gave him a
spinner?
fidget spinner. Great, Bethany. Now I can't take that bit out. Thanks. No, it's fine. But no, good. Yeah, no, this is. I think we learned a lesson though, and that's put this thing on ice. It's just much better.
yeah,
that
it's
way.
better with ice. I know, like normally you don't do champagne and ice, but it needed it. White.
Yeah.
I think. No, people do white wine and ice, and this is just a sparkling white wine, so I'm here for it.
Higgins, do I look like a wealthy aristocrat in her 40s?
No, but you could be.
All right, I'm
Well,
working towards
yeah.
it. I just
Yeah,
I mean,
just
maybe
a few more
add
of
a
these
wig.
drinks.
there's a few more of these bad boys.
Yeah.
Put on a wig, maybe some
Banana,
mascara.
banana, readings for squares. I figure, final episode. Why not interrupt somebody besides Snoop? Give him a break for all those
I
fun
mean,
years.
it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'll allow it.
All right. And this is the part.
Banana, banana,
Oh,
banana.
there he is.
I figured last episode, why not I not interrupt you?
Oh yeah, that's good too.
Oh, that's
This is
really good.
this is the segment where we
God,
talk
that really
about other
hurt.
stuff.
I hurt my vocal cords a little bit.
I know
Aw.
it's like
You've been
You want
doing
some
that
of
for
my
this
drink?
long?
for like I don't know, like
Okay,
at least
thank you.
at least half of the podcast,
God.
however many episodes that is.
That was unpleasant. But more importantly, it's time for a new segment of the show.
Banana. Readings for squares.
Oh, you went one too far.
Yeah, I wanted one though. I'm the last guest. I get to do it.
It doesn't change the fact that you went one too far.
I don't care.
Point is, no, it's fine. Point is, it's time for that segment where we talk about things that aren't books. They're just pure, cold, hard movies, music, whatever. I don't know, just something different.
Just something different.
Bethany, you're the special guest, and also you guys just watch things together anyway, so this will be easy. What are y'all doing?
Oh, I wasn't going to bring up something with him.
You've been watching stuff without him.
Yeah.
Well, you're not married
yeah.
yet, so I guess it's fine.
I've been rewatching One Tree Hill, but I finished that, and that was really, really good. Even after all of these years, it still holds up.
Yeah. And that one tree's still up on that hill?
Yeah, it is.
Man.
It is.
Holding strong.
And it's going real strong. But more importantly, every single morning on my way to work, I listen to the Tony and Ryan podcast.
Oh my God.
And they are the best.
Okay. Well, that hurts, but go on.
Well, okay.
It's fine.
Second best.
No, it's fine. You've said
it's
it.
it's only really because they they record and come out with a podcast 6 out of the 7 days a week.
That's so much podcasting.
Yeah.
They must
And
have
so,
That's
like,
your job, though. You know.
Yeah.
They probably got.
Even
they probably
then,
have.
Even then, though.
They probably come in for like their hour and a half to an hour and a half a day, and then someone probably, you know, like mixes and matches it for them.
They're not doing any of that.
Yeah.
But you know, that's
I mean, they still come up with content.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're doing that part. That's fine.
Yeah.
So wait, they're Tony and Ryan, you said?
Yeah, Tony
Okay.
and Ryan.
They're Australian.
What
They're
are they
Australian.
talking about? What are they up to?
They're just shooting the shit, man.
Oh.
Like, and they're super funny. They're just like, man, I was at, so followers of their podcast, they submit stories and stuff, and there was this one crazy story. It was like, man, just like Tony, I really like to take a dip in the pool, and then when I get out of the pool, I don't want to put on like clothes on top of my wet clothes, and so I just put on one of those towel like pullover things,
Okay.
but he doesn't wear anything underneath it. And then he goes grocery shopping.
That sounds unpleasant.
And so he's like, man, I feel like a little breeze come up, and then I give the cashier like a little sly smile because nobody else knows.
Yeah.
I would argue most people probably.
At least a little
And
bit.
it's pretty great.
If anything, they have an idea. But
And
no, that sounds like they're having fun.
It's just a good time to kind of like start your day with a little laugh and giggle.
Yeah.
So what I
It's
was
pretty great.
talking about with B, probably like yesterday, it's like nothing against anything in any way, but I was like, there's in a generalized sort of way, there's a girl and a guy podcast where like you asked her what do they talk about, and like guys like a podcast where they have a topic that they talk about mainly, but then they shoot the shit to the side. And I feel like girls like a podcast where they shoot the shit
That's
mainly.
the main thing.
And then they have
Okay,
like
yeah.
a topic on the side.
Oh.
I've also been.
You mean like from an audience standpoint?
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. I've also been on YouTube a lot lately, just watching like Smosh videos, Smoshcast, Smosh Mouse, like all of it.
Man, you really are younger than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I grew up with them as well, but like,
I'm just messing with you.
but like,
Well, I watched
they
all-
still hold up, and they're still pretty fucking funny.
I watched old
Nice.
Smosh when it was just the two guys, and then
Well,
now they
yeah.
got too many guys and girls. I'm like, I don't know
Nah.
who these people are.
Nah, they're pretty great though. Some
Okay.
some of the cast on there now are younger than me, and I think that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty funny. It still holds up.
At what point do you think we get to the era where whatever's on TV is just whatever's on YouTube?
Well, Disney Channel isn't actually a channel anymore. It's only a streaming service.
Well, I just meant the content, like where like, well, I mean, it's like my friends and their kids. It's like they're only watching Blippi, and it's like, well, Blippi just started on YouTube. That's just
Yeah.
television now. So like,
Yeah.
at what point do we get to where it's just that? Obviously, you'll have like your heavy hitters still around, but they're not going to be the day-to-day thing that people are watching.
I think since most people have like Roku or like a Fire TV or whatever, then like they're just gonna have the YouTube
Channel.
the YouTube app on their TV and just play through there, because that's what my niece and nephew do as well.
I think they'll get to the point where you'll see like you said, like you'd see the YouTube app, but it'll get to the point where it's just you'll see that specific YouTube channel as an option to just go to.
I do think it's wild, and like I might be talking out of my ass, but it's wild to me that YouTube hasn't like done like full on like Netflix, Hulu like original content.
They did for a bit.
Yeah.
It was YouTube Red, I think.
Yeah.
They had a few shows. Well, that's where
Yeah.
Cobra Kai comes from originally.
Is it?
Yeah, it was originally just on a YouTube premium
just
thing.
feel like they're just. It makes way more sense for them to have their own like
They do. I think it's still around.
stuff versus even like Apple. It was like Apple just did it because I guess they got bored.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's
they
like
have-
YouTube's like specifically a video based format.
With Apple and Amazon, it's just like they have so much money that they could not make a single cent off of their streaming stuff, and it still doesn't bother them. Like that like that Lord of the Rings show. It supposedly both seasons together cost like $1 billion, and it's like you're not making that money back, even if it is very successful. You're not making that money back.
Jeff Bezos is just a bit of a Lord of the Rings nerd, is what
Yeah.
it came down to, probably, right?
I think it's very much a thing
He
of
looks like one.
he may not even know that they do movies and TV shows.
That's true
Ah.
too.
It's such a machine at this point that who's ever in charge of it already forgot what they greenlit, and it's just going to keep going until someone else comes in and cancels a bunch of stuff.
It's like when they tried to do video games with like the Luna thing, and they're like, I guess that's
I forgot about that.
I guess it's fine.
The Google machine video game console they had for a bit,
Yeah,
it's gone. The Stadia. These companies have way too much money and don't know what they're doing.
Google
I don't know what I'm
messes up
doing.
more than they get right, but
Yeah.
luckily they're like luckily they're never gonna be worse than Bing.
Well,
so.
and also you only need that one thing to just hit.
Yeah.
And if it does, then it covers the rest of your failures. So, but I'm no businessman, and I'm not running Google, so keep doing what you're doing, I guess. But
No, I mean Google and YouTube are partnered up, so like.
well, yeah, YouTube is owned by Google.
ABC,
Yeah.
the Alphabet Group or whatever it's called, something like that.
Just the last three letters of the alphabet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the XYZs. Yeah.
Oh.
I do wonder, because has Smosh always been around, or did it just come back? Or you
No,
told me this the
so-
other day, but I've forgotten.
So, Anthony and Ian ran it for a while, and then they got bought out by one company, and then they got bought out by another company, and then finally, like, just within, like, this last year, I believe, they bought it back. Like, Anthony and Ian bought it
Oh,
back.
the original Smosh dudes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
those two
gotcha.
And so,
guys.
like, they
Gotcha.
are the owners now.
Okay.
The one nerdy guy and the guy with the emo haircut, they're back.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Anthony still has a emo haircut, and Ian does kind of still look like a little nerd, but
I mean, he's probably a little sexier now with all that money that they made.
Awesome.
I mean, give me any of the cast, and I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'll go for it.
Mm.
I mean, like, I love you, but like, I'll go for
That's
it.
fine.
Higgins, what YouTube you watching?
I just watch disc golf on YouTube.
Any Smosh like followers on there? Any Mr. Beast types on there you're following?
I guess like I can work Christmas into this. There's like these two guys that like there's a guy called Paul Macbeth, and he's like the Tom Brady of disc golf, basically.
Oh.
Or he was. Well, he is, because he's basically he's not retired, but he's not there like the big boy anymore.
Okay.
But he was the big boy for like the years before people cared about disc golf.
He's the one bringing it to the forefront.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he made this like he made like a company where they like made like YouTube content, but also sold frisbees, because you needed disc golf YouTube content wasn't going to bring in the big bucks, so they still had to like sell something.
You need a product to shill. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But now they got these two guys, and they're like the main dudes now, and they just do like fun disc golf content.
Trick shots.
They're not going out and playing tournaments. Yeah, they'll do a trick shot. They do an ace race. They try to beat each other. There's like random like card games and stuff that people make to like bring into the disc golf world. It's like you have to throw this shot, and if you like throw this card down, it'll do that. And so they play all that stuff. They try out new discs, and they're just like likable front people. It's called Foundation Disc Golf.
Okay.
They just did like this like 5-episode series that was pretty good, called, it's like, you know, the game like Werewolf,
Yes.
where you're like trying to suss out who the guy that's trying to mess everybody up.
Yeah.
They did that with the disc golf. One of like these 8 like other disc golf content people, like they all came together and like disc golfed for 5 days, and they had to try to figure out who the big bad was.
Oh.
And it was some of the more interesting like YouTube stuff I watched.
It had a bit of an arc. That you're
Yeah.
just getting down to the bottom. A separate murder mystery you're trying
Yeah.
to figure out. Like, who's
It's
killing
like,
these disc golfers?
First of all, there's just like some people, and they're like the real good part about it is like the main two guys, they're definitely better than me, but like the people they brought onto this, it's like
Scrubs.
I could have been on the YouTube channel for that kind of thing. It was like, it's nice to see people that are average throw the frisbee too.
Just a couple schmucks just living the dream that you could also live one day.
It's like I could hit that tree.
Hell, even I could hit that tree.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on how far it is.
Yeah.
My throw's gotten a little bit better recently.
That's good.
Yeah, I know. I don't have no like yardstick to measure it by, other than my own personal past. But I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, I went and played at Orchard Hill,
Yeah.
and they clean your name off that basket.
Good. I was disappointed that I did it after I did it. I didn't know that it was a faux pas before.
Nah, none of us did.
Now I don't feel bad anymore.
I would have left it though. It's a
Yeah.
piece of history at that point. But
Yeah. I did get a hole in one on that hole though.
You did.
Nice.
Yeah, but as far
That
as
can never leave my heart.
but it can leave that basket.
Yeah.
Well, no, that sounds good. I'm glad that you're eating and breathing that disc golf. It's the only way you're gonna go pro.
Yeah.
So,
I don't even need to go pro. I couldn't live in a van.
do they all live in a van?
A lot of them live in vans. Like only the
Well, that's not.
like the richest few can like fly out and do it.
I didn't know it was
like
a thing
week
that
to
people
week.
did anyway. People are flying out to disc golf.
Like, well, the pros, the people with the big bucks, like that
Oh.
Paul Macbeth boy,
Like
and
the
then a couple
YouTube
others.
guys. Okay.
They're like there's like a countrywide tour that happens like during the good disc golf months,
Okay.
and so like 100 of the 120 that normally show up to these things as like the main big boys,
Okay.
they're like literally driving like to each event in like a van that they're also maybe living out of.
Oh, that's why they. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, it's not that they have to necessarily live in a van, but when they're doing the traveling
Yeah.
or whatever, they live in. Okay, that
'Cause
makes
it's
me
like
feel a little
the
better.
cheapest way to, it's
Yeah.
like the cheapest way to do it.
I thought you were just saying these people all just live in their own cars, like every day, all the
Not
time.
not by choice.
That
on
makes
tour.
me feel better.
It's like the same thing that like younger bands do.
Yeah,
kinda
yeah.
thing.
Just trying to make ends meet, get that exposure. I see. Okay. What's your dream disc golf course that you've seen on the YouTubes and the
There's like a
internets?
really good one in Massachusetts called Maple Hill,
Okay.
and it's on a Christmas tree farm,
Oh, that sounds lovely.
and there's lots of holes. It's like more than one
Course.
course worth of like holes there.
That's
so
tight. Yeah. Man, you could
so
just
you buy like, it's like a paid one, but like these people are keeping it up like way better than like your average.
like an actual golf course, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And it's on a man around this time of year. It'd be
I
so
know
lovely.
it'd be good
You need to make that pilgrimage out there one day,
up to
Higgins.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, just get in the cross track
Yeah.
and just get it done.
One of the main boys that also does YouTube content. He's like, that's basically his base of operation.
That's his mecca. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he posts a lot of videos from there.
It sounds like disc golf is alive and well, and I appreciate that.
I would have brought like a movie, but like I told you about all 6 movies that I've watched recently on the last episode with
That's
ZB.
true. It's true.
So
Yeah.
and it's only been a week.
If that
Less than a week?
about a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, week and a day maybe.
A week and a day.
That episode will be out at the same time or before this episode.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
So there you go.
I
There's
mean-
something to look forward to.
We've been watching Psych and Gilmore Girls and
Yeah,
Parks
I
and
think I
Recs.
mentioned that last episode too, I think.
We did talk about Psych. I do remember that.
I think I did say Gilmore Girls, and then I talked about Psych.
Yeah.
Gilmore Girls is good.
and Parks and Recs.
Oh yeah, we
Parks
did.
and Recs is always
we did
good.
start watching Parks and Recs, so because she's never seen it. We watched a good like 5 to 10 episodes with Andy the other day.
Oh my god, the perfect person to watch Gilmore Girls. Well, yeah.
Casual Andy reference before the end of the episode.
One last time. Love it.
In sweats.
Oh yeah, Andy was in sweats.
Gray
I
sweats?
thought they were
No.
they were
They were like the nice.
navy blue sweats. I
Yeah.
thought he was wearing real pants, and then I was like, those are comfy pants. How do you do that?
He does look good
He
in
did the
navy
same
blue.
thing last night.
Yeah.
I was like, are those real pants? And he's like, no, he's just keeping it cash.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm off.
He's
I'm off this week.
At the time of recording, yeah, he's just in full on winter Andy mode.
Yeah.
Which is not as fun as summer Andy mode, but it's still
Yeah.
pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. But New Year's Andy mode.
Woo.
Let's see that soon.
I mean, that's his birthday mode.
Let's
so.
go. Let's go.
Go in. It's your birthday. Go in.
Well, besides seeing
It's your
Andy,
birthday.
what have you seen?
Have I seen anything
In the past week?
Yeah, let's see. I did watch that Transformers movie that came out this
Transformers 1?
year. That's what it's called. Thank you.
I heard that's really good. I
I-
haven't seen it
I-
because it's on Paramount Plus.
Well, so I went on vacation with my family, and as you have to do, you turn on the TV and you're like, let's see which of these apps has someone signed in.
And that was one of them?
That was one of them, so I watched that movie. I watched the first episode of that Knuckles spinoff. So,
Pretty good?
It was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I didn't hate it, and if the Sonic movies are just that, I'm like, this will be okay. We got Steph and our friend Reese are watching Sonic 3 right now, actually.
I know.
But no, the Transformers movie I watched, and it was actually pretty good. I'd like to see another one. It's basically just a prequel of how Megatron became Megatron and how Optimus Prime became Optimus Prime.
Yeah, I heard they're like, we are not talking about the primes here. And then it eventually is about the primes by the end of it.
Well, there's a bunch of primes in it, but like they're of days past, and now there's one prime left, and just some stuff happened. It's good, like for a kids movie, which is primarily what that franchise is for. It's a good kids movie. Like I watched that, and I'm like, this had a fun little story. The animation's really good, and if they do another one of these, I would also be interested in it. The voice acting's really good. It's got Chris Hemsworth is Optimus Prime. He's fine. But
It's got John Hamm too, right?
John Hamm is Sentinel Prime. Yeah, so he's like the other Prime that's in it. Because I'm not big on Transformers lore, but Optimus Prime before he's Optimus Prime is Orion Pax, I think.
Yeah.
And then Brian Tyree Henry, who you would know as like Paperboy from Atlanta and other many things.
Yeah.
He plays the version of Megatron before he's Megatron. I think he's like D33 or something. He's like a mining robot.
Yeah.
And they have like all the things. Basically, they have all the things that regular people know, and some deep cuts for people who don't know that. Like Key and/or Peele is Bumblebee.
That's good.
And he's good. I don't like how they've just decided that character needs to be annoying.
Yeah, silly and annoying.
Yeah, but I will say that he's the best version of an annoying character that they've done with that so far. Mostly just because he talks. I don't have to hear him talk through a radio.
That's good.
That's very pleasant. But yeah, it's a good little kids movie. And then I did watch the first couple episodes of the new Star Wars thing with Jude Law.
Skeleton Crew?
Skeleton Crew. Thank you.
I don't have Disney Plus, so I also can't ever watch that.
Yeah, I don't either, but it was on. Again, thank you. This is Mackenzie who helped me out with Disney Plus in that cabin I stayed in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched the first couple episodes of that, and it's basically the Goonies, but Star Wars is how I would describe it. It's like
they're doing a little mystery.
Kids doing a bit of adventure and wonder. They live on like suburbia, the planet, because you know how every Star Wars planet is just like the biome that they're in. Like it'd be like desert or winter. In this case,
this is just like middle class white.
It's just suburb, yeah. Okay. But an entire planet, and it's got an interesting premise because basically, like the kids that are involved, they are really obsessed with Jedi. This is said, I think, after the prequels, so the Jedi are still kind of known.
This is before like Order 66.
After, so this would be before like Luke Skywalker at post. He puts on the Darth Vader suit.
So there are probably still some Jedi out there. They're just in hiding, kind of thing.
Yes, and it's about these kids who. Two of them love Jedi, and then there's the other two kids that are just a bit of a. One's like a bit of a bad boy, but she's a girl. Can you imagine it?
I can't imagine it.
I know, me either, but it's there. You can see it. I know, Bethany. It's crazy. Don't think about it too hard. But yeah, it's just a couple of misfits teaming up, and they blast off into space, and you think like, oh, let's just turn around and go back to our home. But the problem is that the planet is apparently uncharted, like for reasons. So they can't they're lost, and they're having to interact with adults who are awful and want to kidnap them and figure out where their planet's at because it has treasure. So
I thought you were going to tell me that, they left their planet and then they tried to go back and then the Death Star blew it up.
No, it's there, yeah, because it's doing that Goonies thing of like we're cutting back to like it's like Home Alone, it's Goonies, we're cutting back to the parents' point of view, and they're just like, I just want to get my kid home. So it's got a bit of that.
Thank goodness I've recently watched The Goonies.
Yeah, I know, right? First time.
Otherwise, I would be confused.
You'd be so lost. But now you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I don't I'm only 2 episodes in. I think there's like 5 or 6 out, and it's not very Star Wars.
Do you think they're gonna say, "Hey, you guys"?
I think they'll make a catchphrase kind of thing. Yeah, probably.
I would love a "Hey, you guys" to show up in it.
I don't think
I'll
they'll
never
do
watch
that.
it, but if they do say, "Hey, you guys," will you tell me?
If they do, I know exactly who's gonna do it. There's this little elephant boy with hair,
Yeah.
and he's kind of like just that.
Aw.
He's a little ugly, but he's sweet.
He's very sweet. He's very goofy. The kid. I think the best thing about this show that I've seen, again, only 2 episodes in, is I think the kid interactions are really just really cute and kind of fun. Because basically, there's the 2 kids that meet up with the other 2 kids when they're trying to explore this Jedi temple, which ends up being a spaceship. And it's that classic thing of like, we were here first. And it's like, well, we call claimsies. And it's like, well, we call claimsies, and she calls claimsies. And then the elephant boy's just like, well, that is how it works. You know, it's just kind of, it's silly, it's stupid. I'm sure there's plenty of people who love Star Wars and will hate this, but I think just that element of what they're trying to do is pretty fun. So yeah.
Yeah.
And the elephant boy looks pretty good.
I at least applaud them for the attempt to do something.
Different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always do with Star Wars. It's like, this may not even be for me, but
At least they didn't make another Skywalker movie.
correct. Yeah. Which they've also done and has not been received well. But yeah, it just,
New trilogy coming out. We'll see.
we'll see. They're going to do, I think, as of right now, we've got Andor Season 2 and the Grogu and Mandalorian team-up movie. That's
Yeah.
really the only thing on the near slate. And maybe rest it for a bit. Like, maybe just give people a reason to want it again.
Yeah, let it breathe.
Because while I would love a bunch of Star Wars stuff, I don't think that they're worried about quality at this point, and it's starting to really show. This I think, again, is like good at what it's doing, but it's still not really Star Wars either. So
Yeah, the last few haven't really hit,
yeah,
from what I hear.
no, and I'm the most like neutral to meh Star Wars fan you can get. I don't think that they ruined it because they made a girl the lead character in the last few movies.
Yeah.
I just think that the writing has not been intentional. But yeah, I think Star Wars has always worked at its best when it's seen as an event. So maybe get back to that, and let's just see what happens. But give me Andor, because Andor's really good.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's what I done checked out. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That sounds good.
Bethany, say yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good. We all say yeah.
Well, I got, yelled at because I did a third thing and you didn't want me to do a third thing, so I didn't do a third thing.
All I know is that you learned your lesson, so
Huh?
that's very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, it's fine. Did you have a third thing? You can talk about it.
No.
Okay, she didn't have a third thing, it turns out, so she's a liar.
No. It was the
No, you did, or no, you
the
didn't?
the song.
Which is it?
It was the song, Snoop.
What song?
The ba-da-da.
Oh yeah, that I did not like, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and that's why I didn't say yeah.
Well, that didn't mean you couldn't talk about other things, though.
Blah, blah, blah.
All right, that I did enjoy, so thank you. Well, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, she's good. Higgins, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, he's good. I'm also good.
That's good.
Everyone's good.
That's great.
That's so great. And it's almost time for me to go see Nosferatu.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh.
I don't know how we want to sweep this up.
it's gonna be a little different. Yeah. So let's just blunder our way through it and see what we get out of it.
All right.
How about that? So we've been dropping hints. We've been dropping little Easter eggs, calling back to the book that we read earlier. This is, as of right now, the final episode of the Comicsology Club.
The final continuous episode
Correct.
of the Comicsology Club.
Correct.
We won't stab it and kill it to death, but we are gonna put it in a helper's home for a little bit. At the very least.
I was gonna hit it in the middle of the night and then panic and then just leave it on the side of the road.
Yeah.
But your plan sounds better, I guess, so we can go with that. But yes, this has been kind of in the works behind the scenes for a little bit now. Basically, we've got life stuff going on. I'm gonna work on doing things, personal stuff. Higgins is gonna get married next year. That's big.
Yeah.
So congratulations to everyone involved
Bethany's
in that.
gonna be there too.
Oh my
I
god, that's
hope.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have her
Yeah.
there. You just have
I mean,
to
I'm
get married.
definitely not gonna be the runaway one, you know.
No, Charlie's gonna do that.
Yeah.
See? gave away our plan. But yes, so we are stepping away. This will be the last episode with us. Michael will continue to run 008 Studios. Great business. Again, check it out. Look at the link. Look at it. Talk to him. Look at him. He's pretty good looking. Aaron.
So is Aaron.
Aaron's better looking. I'll say it. I'll be that guy and just say that she's better looking. Not by much, but just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
other stuff. If it's like if Michael wants me to talk about a thing that he made, then maybe I'll do that with him.
You might. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So Michael's going to be reworking this thing into something. It might be a book that 008 Studios has done, and Higgins will review that. He might interview the writer if he knows that person, like a ZB Steele perhaps. Like it's very much in the works and will be in the beginning of 2025, but it's not completely done. We have given Michael our full blessing because he has supported us doing this for so long, and for that we are eternally grateful. I also would like to take a moment and just say how grateful I am to anyone and everyone who has ever listened to this show, and of course who has been on this show. Bethany, you are closing out our year. This has been a fantastic year to do this podcast. I really didn't think when we did this year, I didn't know it would be our last year, and I also didn't know that we would be able to get someone to do this with us, not
every
once a
single
month, but also more than that. We've had amazing guests. We've had Reese was on the show. Steph was on the show. He's been on the show before. Soulstar Sketchin, great guy. I love talking to him. In multiple episodes.
We interviewed the authors.
We interviewed some amazing people whose names I'm currently now blanking on right now. Crap, help me out. Give me
Jim
one.
Kurgan.
Thank you.
And God, what? Andy
Ewington.
Yeah.
Just
nailed it.
An incredible opportunity for us to do, and it's not something we ever thought we would be able to do. When Higgins and I started this years ago, it was just kind of we had done a podcast before. We wanted to kind of kick something up again, and
it's a silly way for us to have an excuse to read comic books.
Yeah, like
that we might not be as motivated to beforehand.
Well, we talked about this stuff anyway, and we also like drinking, so we thought let's just do a drunk book club. It was very much that's what it was at its core. We didn't expect it to get any kind of support outside of ourselves, and so yeah, to have Michael come in and do what he's done, to have people like Bethany come and do the show with us and seemingly enjoy it, it's just been an incredible opportunity, and I'm phenomenally grateful for that. So thank you to anyone and everyone that has contributed to this and listened to it and said nice things about it and us.
Yeah. It was like, that being said, you can still find me on Instagram and at JStorm93 and Twitter at MikeHiggins93 if you really still want to talk to me.
Yeah, if you want to yell at him. Well,
yeah. You can find Snoop at Snoop_Lynch too.
I might be there. I might not.
He might give up. He might give up Instagram after all of this.
I only started it back up because of this, and I haven't really looked at it since. So.
Yeah.
But I'll keep it around for a bit in case anyone wants to do a shout out to me for whatever reason. Again, if you like the show, tell us that you like the show. Thank you to anyone and everyone who has listened, reviewed, contributed, all the things I've already said. It just, again, I just want people to know, like, this meant a lot to me, and I'm just glad that people liked it.
Yeah.
So.
And it'll still all be on YouTube, on the channel.
Yes, yeah. And as of right now, like, it will be in the usual podcast place.
Yeah.
I don't think Michael will make that decision to host it or not. But even if it goes away there, you can find it on the 008 Studios YouTube channel. It will all live there.
All of those
indefinitely.
episodes are there.
So, yeah, just, again, big stuff. Great time. And I haven't really said this, but thank you, Higgins.
Thank you.
It's, I get dumb ideas and things I like to do, so it's hard finding people to do those things with me. So we've done this for a very long time.
It's been a good time, and people say that we sound good when we talk to each other.
And it's not just the microphones. I think people really enjoy the chemistry.
Reese said so.
Oh my God,
it's all the only way I know.
That's right. And he's Australian. He wouldn't lie. We all know that.
They're not allowed. They're not allowed to.
They're not allowed.
It's part of their, I don't know,
their
politics
culture.
or something like
that. They
that.
get hit in the head with a magpie if they even think about it.
Yeah.
So, you think he'll like that reference? I don't know. He mentioned it last time.
Yeah.
But yes. So for one last time, I will say, cheers, guys. That's what I say, and I would like Bethany to say something.
Bye.
Oh my God, great way to close this out. Thank you. But just kidding. We have one more person who's going to say one thing off the top of his head.
As always, I got that egg in me, and I love you guys.